In the sun-soaked heart of the Caribbean, amid the reggae rhythms and tropical coastlines, one man's story stands out, not just for his rise in politics, but for the financial intrigue that follows him. His name is Andrew Holness, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, and a man whose money moves have stirred national curiosity. From real estate investments to offshore dealings, Holness isn't just a political figure, he's a financial strategist. So how did a man from modest beginnings build what appears to be a multi-million-dollar portfolio? And what do public records really say about the business behind Jamaica's leader? Let's take a closer look. Andrew Holness took office as Jamaica's Prime Minister in 2011, but his journey into politics began much earlier. Since 1997, he's been representing St. Andrew West Central as a Member of Parliament, a role that brings in its own share of compensation, though not all of it is publicly itemized. In 2016, Holness's official salary as Prime Minister was reported at around $7.3 million Jamaican dollars, or roughly 55,000 USD, based on 2020 exchange rates. He also qualified for a $1.2 million JMD annual travel allowance, although it's unclear whether he actually receives that amount due to his use of a government vehicle. But here's where things get interesting. Holness's real financial power doesn't lie in his paycheck, it's in his investments. Much of the Holness family's wealth is tied up in real estate, and not just in Jamaica's residential neighborhoods. In 2019, they reportedly pulled in over $2 million JMD from real estate income, which climbed to around $3 million JMD in 2020. His wife, Juliet Holness, is not only a Member of Parliament for St. Andrew East Rural, but also a certified public accountant and a key player in the couple's business ventures. She's associated with JRJ Development and Holdings Latawadi, a real estate development company. Her dual career in politics and property management has significantly bolstered the family's income. And it doesn't stop there. According to 2019 financial disclosures, Holness held more than $11.7 million JMD in local currency and an additional $94,000 USD in securities. By 2020, that amount rose to $113,000 USD. They also earned over $16,000 USD from U.S. stock investments that year, signaling a deliberate move to diversify their financial portfolio. Altogether, the Holness family's business holdings were valued at more than $130 million JMD as of 2020. Juliet's own annual income hovered around $4 million JMD, combining her government salary and business profits. Over a 5-year period, ending in December 2021, the Integrity Commission reported that the Holness family's net worth grew by approximately $51.5 million JMD. While much of that growth lines up with property value appreciation and investment gains, the Commission did flag a few years where the numbers didn't quite add up, raising questions about undocumented increase. Andrew Holness's journey to Jamaica's top political office didn't start in Parliament. It began in the early 90s on a university campus. While studying at the University of the West Indies, Holness made his first steps into politics by joining the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, in 1992. Just a year later, his involvement deepened, marking the start of what would become a remarkable political climb. He wasn't just focused on lectures and exams. He was laying the groundwork for leadership. After earning both a bachelor's degree and a master's in development studies, Holness stepped into the nonprofit world. Between 1994 and 1996, he served as executive director of Vouch, Volunteers Organization for Uplifting Children, a charitable group focused on supporting underprivileged youth. It was during this time that he crossed paths with Edward Sega, the legendary former prime minister and leader of the JLP. Their meeting would shape the next chapter of Holness's life. Holness went on to work closely with Sega at the Premium Group of Companies, where he took on roles as special assistant and financial manager. Those years gave him an up-close look at the inner workings of leadership, finance, and political strategy. Holness officially entered Jamaica's political arena in 1997, winning a seat in Parliament for St. Andrew West Central. But his entry wasn't without a few bumps. A recount delayed his swearing in, and after a court-mandated re-election in 1998, he briefly lost the seat. Still, he fought back, and in a follow-up election that same year, he reclaimed his spot, this time for good. From that point on, Holness's political rise was swift. By the early 2000s, he had become one of the JLP's key spokespersons, focusing on land, development, and infrastructure, and taking part in influential parliamentary committees. His leadership skills soon caught the attention of party brass, and he was tapped for important roles in the Ministry of Housing, followed by a crucial post in the Ministry of Education. In 2007, he was appointed Minister of Education under then Prime Minister Bruce Golding. When Golding stepped down in 2011, the party turned to Holness. At just 39 years old, he became Jamaica's 9th and youngest Prime Minister, sworn in on October 23, 2011. Holness's first term as Prime Minister was brief. Just months into the role, he called for a general election in December 2011. But the JLP suffered a heavy defeat to the People's National Party, PNP, led by Portia Simpson Miller. Still, Holness wasn't going anywhere. In a tight 2016 election, the JLP edged out the PNP with 32 seats to 31, reclaiming power and making history in the process. His wife, Juliet Holness, also won her seat, making them the first married couple in Jamaican history to serve in Parliament together. In 2020, Holness solidified his leadership. The JLP scored a resounding victory, expanding their margin and cementing Holness's role as the youngest Jamaican leader to be elected twice. Holness has increasingly positioned himself as a forward-thinking, globally aware leader. During the March 2022 visit of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, he made international headlines by declaring Jamaica's intent to move forward toward full independence. He emphasized the country's future vision, one rooted in sovereignty, prosperity, and self-determination. In 2024, Holness added another feather to his cap. He earned a PhD in law and policy from Northeastern University in the United States. His doctoral research zeroed in on the impact of U.S. gun laws on violent crime in Jamaica, a powerful intersection of local concern and international policy, showing his commitment to addressing Jamaica's most pressing issues with a global lens. And now that we've explored the journey from university lecture halls to the highest political office, let's take you somewhere more personal. Inside Andrew Holness's home in Beverly Hills, St. Andrew. What does the private residence of Jamaica's leader reveal about his style, taste, and the life he leads behind the scenes? Let's take a tour. Perched high above the bustling heart of Kingston, Jamaica, in the exclusive Beverly Hills neighborhood of St. Andrew, lies the home of Prime Minister Andrew Holness. This scenic, high-end enclave, known for its sweeping views and VIP residence, has become a focal point of public curiosity, especially when Holness's family home began making headlines during its development years ago. Back in 2011, the property officially changed hands, not to a person, but to a company, AdMat Incorporated, registered in St. Lucia. The name might seem abstract at first glance, but it carries a deeply personal touch. AdMat is a blend of the names of Holness's two sons, Adam and Matthew. The company was created as a trust, securing the family estate for the boys' future. Holness himself holds 50% of the company, while each son owns 25%. It's a setup designed with legacy in mind, a long-term plan to pass down the family's most prized asset. Fast forward to September 2024, and the peaceful hillside was anything but quiet. The Jamaican authorities had received what they described as a credible threat. Suddenly, the area around the Prime Minister's home became a high-security zone. Additional law enforcement officers were stationed on site, their presence a reminder of the risks that come with public office. As head of government, Holness doesn't just need to be protected at home. He's constantly on the move, and security follows him everywhere. His official ride? A BMW 740 Li, sleek and armored, built for both comfort and safety. It's not just a car, it's a command center on wheels. With advanced driving tech, top-tier security features, and a reputation for reliability, the BMW serves as both a symbol of power and a necessity in his daily work life. Though the rest of his personal car collection remains under wraps, one standout from the government fleet is the Land Rover Discovery, a rugged, turbocharged machine with 296 horsepower and 295 lb-ft of torque. Whether it's navigating city streets or Jamaica's mountainous backroads, the Discovery handles it with ease. Inside, it's all elegance, soft leather seats, high-end finishes, and enough comfort to take the edge off the Prime Minister's intense schedule. But beyond the prestige, security, and policy work, there's another side to Andrew Holness, the philanthropist. Over the years, Holness has shown a strong commitment to giving back, especially in education. In 2021, he donated $2.5 million to the University of Technology, Jamaica, UTech, specifically to help students struggling with tuition. His goal? To make sure no bright mind is held back by financial hardship. And that wasn't a one-off gesture. In 2020, during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, Holness stepped up again, this time with a $750,000 pledge to help Northern Caribbean University, NCU, students impacted by the crisis. To him, education is a right, not a privilege. Every student, he emphasized, deserves a fair shot at their dreams. He didn't stop there. Aware of the growing digital divide exposed by remote learning, Holness donated 30 tablets to Salt Spring Primary and Infant School in 2021. His goal was simple: make sure children in under-resourced communities weren't left behind. And his giving spirit extends beyond education. Through the Positive Jamaica Foundation, Holness contributed $400,000 to 6 grassroots organizations supported by the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange, JSSE. Among them, Choose Life Jamaica, which promotes mental health awareness, and Deaf Can, an initiative empowering the deaf community through training and entrepreneurship. In a world where public figures are often measured by speeches and press conferences, Andrew Holness's story is told just as much through his actions at home, on the road, and in the hearts of the people he's quietly helped along the way. Andrew Holness's generosity doesn't just stop at policy and education, it extends directly to those who need it most. Over the years, he's quietly made a difference in the lives of Jamaica's most vulnerable through his support for Mustard Seed Communities, a nonprofit dedicated to caring for abandoned children, people with disabilities, and individuals living with HIV/AIDS. In 2018, Holness donated JoJ $1 million, then followed up with another JoJ $1.5 million in 2020, along with critical supplies like food and personal care items. These weren't just symbolic gestures. They were lifelines for those often forgotten by society. But his compassion reaches beyond Jamaica's borders. Holness has lent his support to international humanitarian groups operating locally, including the Art of Living Foundation, an organization known for its work with prisoners and community upliftment projects in low-income areas. His involvement in global partnerships took center stage when he delivered the keynote address at the American Friends of Jamaica AFJ Gala in Miami. That single evening raised more than JoJ $100 million for charitable work back home, funds earmarked for education, healthcare, and economic development. These wide-ranging efforts paint a picture of a leader driven not just by politics, but by heart, purpose, and service. Away from the podium, Holness's personal life is grounded in faith, family, and a deep connection to his roots. His love story with Juliet Holness, née Landell, began back in the 1980s when they were students at St. Catherine High School. What started as a teenage romance evolved into a powerful partnership both in marriage and public life. They tied the knot in 1997, and since then, Juliet has carved her own impressive path. She's a chartered accountant, a property developer, and a member of parliament representing East Rural St. Andrew. And in 2023, she hit a historic milestone, becoming the Speaker of Jamaica's House of Representatives, one of the most influential positions in the country. Together, Andrew and Juliet have built a strong, united family with their 2 sons, Adam and Andrew Jr. Whether attending public events or celebrating milestones, the Holness family often appears together, projecting warmth and unity. The Prime Minister often speaks with pride about his sons, emphasizing values like kindness, justice, and compassion, traits he believes are key to raising responsible citizens who will give back to their country. Yet, like all high-profile leaders, Andrew Holness has not walked a path free of controversy. Over the years, he has faced serious scrutiny, especially regarding allegations of conflict of interest and financial transparency. The most notable case came in 2023 when the Integrity Commission of Jamaica launched an investigation into government contracts awarded during his time as Minister of Education between 2007-2009. The inquiry questioned whether Holness had any improper involvement in the awarding of these contracts. While no criminal charges were brought, the investigation stirred national debate, and fueled ongoing discussions about transparency and leadership. Despite the pressures of politics, the spotlight of controversy, and the demands of public service, Andrew Holness remains a figure whose story blends visionary leadership, deep family roots, and a genuine commitment to social good, a story still unfolding in the heart of Jamaica and beyond. What began as a quiet paper trail soon erupted into one of the most closely watched investigations in Jamaican politics. Between 2007 and 2009, while Andrew Holness was serving as Minister of Education, a series of government contracts worth nearly 142,000 JWest were awarded to Westcon Construction Limited, a company tied to individuals Holness had known for over 2 decades. That alone raised eyebrows. When the Integrity Commission reviewed the case, they found that only half of the 10 contracts had been properly reported, in clear violation of the rules. Still, when the matter landed on the desk of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the response was cautious. While the connections were concerning, there simply wasn't enough solid evidence to prove Holness had influenced the contract awards. No charges were filed, but the controversy didn't end there. In September 2024, another Integrity Commission report dropped. This one, even more politically explosive. It focused on Holness's financial declarations from 2019 to 2022. The findings raised serious red flags, suggesting potential conflicts of interest between Holness and a longtime associate, Norman Brown. Brown wasn't just an old friend. He had chaired 2 major state agencies under Holness's oversight. On top of that, Brown reportedly shared business interests, including real estate investments, with members of Holness's own family. The commission didn't mince words. These were serious concerns that could compromise ethical standards in government. To make matters worse, the report questioned the accuracy of Holness's financial filings, hinting at possible omissions or misrepresentations in his declarations. Even so, after examining the evidence, the Director of Corruption Prosecutions declined to pursue charges, stating that the case didn't meet the legal threshold for criminal action. But while the legal system backed off, the political fallout came fast and loud. The opposition party, the People's National Party, PNP, quickly seized the moment, citing damage to public trust and a breach in the integrity expected of national leaders. The PNP called on Prime Minister Holness to resign. Whether the controversy fades or lingers, one thing is certain: the pressure is on, and the spotlight is brighter than ever. As calls for Prime Minister Andrew Holness's resignation echoed across Jamaica's political landscape, the ruling Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, didn't waste a moment in firing back. The party stood firmly behind Holness, dismissing the opposition's demands as nothing more than political theater. They pointed out that despite all the headlines and speculation, no laws were broken and no charges were filed. Through it all, Holness himself has remained calm and adamant. He's consistently denied any wrongdoing, standing by his claim that everything he did was within the bounds of government policy. In his words, he never interfered in any contract awards, and any suggestion otherwise was guilt by association, not by proof. He went even further, calling out the Integrity Commission, saying their conclusions were based more on who he knew than what he did. While prosecutors confirmed there wasn't enough evidence to press charges, the damage was done. Public trust took a hit, and debates around transparency and ethics surged to the forefront of national conversation. These events have sparked more than just a political scuffle. They've triggered a broader reckoning about how Jamaica handles conflicts of interest, public accountability, and ethical leadership. Whether you're on Holness's side or not, one thing is clear: Jamaicans are watching closely, and the demand for integrity in public life is louder than ever. So what's your take? Do you think Holness's investments and connections were handled fairly? Or is there more beneath the surface? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if this breakdown helped clarify the bigger picture. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more deep dives into today's most influential leaders. Let's keep the conversation going.